CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I work as a dark web cop in Washington, D.C. We got a call about a baby crying in the woods. What we found isn't human. Hey Reddit, first time posting anything like this, but I need to get this off my chest. My friends and co-workers told me not to post this. Hell, even my supervisor would probably fire me if he found out. But I haven't slept in 4 nights, and the more I keep this inside, the worse it gets. I work a very specific, very hush-hush job. I'm part of a small government-funded task force in Washington, D.C., officially known as the Cybernetic Crimes Division. Off the books, though, we just call ourselves Dark Watch. Our job? We patrol the dark web, track illegal trafficking rings, take down torture streams, black market organ trades, that sort of thing. The stuff you think only exists in scary YouTube animated horror stories. Yeah, it's real, and it's 10 times worse. We operate under fake aliases. No badge, no uniform. Just laptops, VPNs, and insomnia. You don't hear about us because people aren't supposed to know this stuff exists. Anyway, let me get to what happened. Last Friday night, we got a ping from an anonymous tip-off that hit our deep tracker. Most tips are spam, or scared teens messing around with Tor and accidentally clicking on something they shouldn't. But this one was different. It was a voice recording, 30 seconds long, just a baby crying. That might not sound weird at first, but what made this creepy was that the crying wasn't normal. I've got 2 nieces. I know what a human baby sounds like. This sounded off, like someone or something trying to mimic a baby. Too slow, like dragging a finger across piano keys out of tune. The pitch wavered unnaturally, not broken, just fake. The file was traced back to the outskirts of Rock Creek Park, just outside the city. If you've ever been to DC, you probably know that place. Pretty park by day, deer and joggers and all that. But past midnight, you couldn't pay me to take a stroll in there. Locals talk about people going missing there all the time. The kind of stories that get buried after a day or 2 in the news cycle. Still, protocol meant we had to go check it out. It was me, Agent Brooks, and our new recruit, Alan, a fresh-faced kid who still thought this job was like the CSI dark web subreddit. We geared up and drove out at 1:37 a.m. No sirens, just a black van, low lights, thermal cameras, all standard. As soon as we got close to the pin location, I felt it. That weird, heavy feeling, like something's watching you from behind your eyes. I shrugged it off. We entered the woods near a rarely used bike path. It was dead silent. No animals, no wind, not even the buzz of bugs. Just nothing. Then we heard it. That cry. Exactly like the recording. It was coming from deeper in the woods, somewhere near a dry creek bed. Alan turned to me and said, "Shouldn't we call backup or animal control?" Brooks just shook his head. "Protocol. Check it first, then call if needed." We moved forward, slowly. The crying got louder, more frequent, but still that unnatural, slow drawn-out tone. And then we saw it. there was something in the creek bed. I swear to God, it looked like a bundle of blankets at first, swaddled up like a baby left behind. Alan moved forward with his flashlight and crouched down. Then he said, guys, I don't think this is a baby." I came up behind him and my stomach dropped. It had the shape of a baby. Tiny hands, tiny feet, even a little head, but the skin was gray and loose, like it had been soaked in water too long. The eyes were pitch black, no whites, no pupils, just glossy voids staring back at us. And worst of all, it wasn't crying anymore. It was mimicking Alan's voice, back at him. "I don't think this is a baby," it whispered. Alan stood up so fast he nearly fell backward. Then the thing moved. It didn't crawl like a baby. It unfolded, like a spider shedding skin. It stretched out into something tall and skinny, limbs too long, neck cracking with a sound that reminded me of someone wringing out a wet towel. No face, no eyes, just that same pale skin and a mouth that split its entire head in half. We froze. Then Brooks whispered, "Back to the van. Slowly. Don't turn your back." The thing didn't follow. It just stood there, tilting its head at us. But as we retreated, I swear to God, it started laughing. Alan's voice again. "I don't think this is a baby." Again and again, until we couldn't hear it anymore. When we got back to HQ, we pulled the logs. That area of the woods, it's been flagged 14 times in the last 2 years. Same sound, same type of tip, all from different IPs, all completely scrubbed. But here's where it gets really fucked up. One of the analysts did a vocal match on the baby cry and cross-referenced it with past reports. It matched the voice of a woman who went missing in DC in 2006. Her name was Jenna Wallace, 26 years old, disappeared on a jog through Rock Creek Park, never found. But the baby cry? It matched a voicemail she left to her mom before she vanished. A weird message, distorted, saying she saw something in the woods and was following the sound of a baby crying. Her last words were, "It's not a baby. Don't go looking for sounds in the woods. Not everything that cries wants to be found." It was 2 nights after the woods when the dream started. Not normal dreams. These were vivid, nauseating, like my brain was buffering something it shouldn't have access to. I'd close my eyes and see teeth, not in a mouth, just floating, rows and rows of teeth, human, animal, some cracked, some bloody, all chattering like wind-up toys. Then the crying would start, that slow, mechanical sobbing. Except now, it was my voice. I stopped sleeping. The guys at HQ noticed. Alan looked worse than me, pale, twitchy. He refused to speak about what we saw, barely blinked. He just sat at his terminal with this dead, glassy stare, his headphones on. No one knew what he was listening to. That morning, I walked by his screen and saw the page he was on. It wasn't Tor. It was something below that. An old node server we'd flagged as part of a cyberflesh cult a year ago. Supposedly dead. It was live again. And it was streaming. No chat, no interface. Just a full-screen window with a timestamp at the bottom and a label that read, "Babyfeed 019 live." I don't remember choosing to click it. I just know I sat down at my station, opened it, and the stream started. And what I saw, if you're the kind of person who thinks they've seen it all on the internet, let me promise you something. You haven't. Not like this. It was a dim room, one overhead bulb swinging slightly, like it was underground, a basement maybe, cement walls, no windows, just a large metal table in the center and a figure strapped to it. It looked like a man, shirtless, maybe early 30s. At first, I thought he was dead, but then he blinked. The camera didn't move, just this locked-off shot. A minute passed, then a door opened. Something entered. It was tall, not the thing from the woods, but similar, like it had grown. Still that too long stretched look, but this one had clothes, scraps of a police uniform, I think. Maybe DCPD. Its mouth was stitched shut with piano wire, but you could see it breathing through its neck. No eyes, just two black sockets where they should have been. It walked over to the man. I couldn't move. I couldn't look away. The thing leaned down and started unhooking the man's restraints, one by one, except for the one around his throat. The man started crying, not screaming, crying like he knew what was about to happen. That's when the thing pulled something from behind its back, a baby bottle, full of something thick, brown, chunky. It forced the bottle into the man's mouth and poured. The man gagged, thrashed, vomited. The thing didn't stop. It poured until the man choked, until his face turned red and blotchy, until foam bubbled at the corners of his lips. Then the screen went black. No end credits, no chat, just a number at the bottom. Viewers, 1,487. I shut the stream, shaking. I looked around. No one else reacted. That's when I noticed something. Alan wasn't at his desk anymore. I bolted down the hall to the server room because I knew what he was doing. I knew where he had gone. And sure enough, there he was. The feed was still open on one of the auxiliary monitors, but now it had a different label. Baby feed 020, preparing. And in the video feed was Alan. He was standing in the same cement room, looking directly at the camera, smiling. We shut the server. We pulled the plug, cut power to the entire system, and did a hard wipe. Didn't matter. The feed kept going. The baby feed had spread to over 3,000 mirrors, most of them on hidden platforms we'd never even heard of. Chinese onion layers, German darknet fetish forums, even one Russian site disguised as a McDonald's employee training module. When you clicked the HR safety tab, it launched the stream. And now, it wasn't just Alan, it was more. Dozens, hundreds, all chained, all crying, all being fed. And the thing, it wasn't one anymore. It was many, each with a different face. Some were too distorted to recognize, but some, I swear to God, I knew them. One of them looked like my supervisor. Another looked like that girl Jenna Wallace from the Missing Persons flyer. There was even a frame, just a single frame, that I paused and stared at for over an hour because I saw myself standing behind one of the creatures, smiling, like I belonged there. Here's the part where it gets unreal. 2 days later, we received a physical package at HQ. No postage, no return label. Just a grey cardboard box with the words, "Feed complete," written on the top in red wax. We opened it. Inside was a single USB drive. We plugged it in on an isolated offline machine. All that was on it was a video file named babyfeed_000. It was dated 2002. The feed showed a hospital room, a nursery, rows of babies in plastic cribs, nurses moving in and out. Everything was normal for about a minute, then static, loud, high-pitched, like metal scraping a chalkboard. When the feed came back, the room was empty. No nurses, no babies, just one crib, dead center, with a thing inside it. It looked like a baby, except not. Its head was too big. Its eyes were open, too wide, no pupils. Its mouth was full of teeth, and it was smiling. We sent the feed to the FBI. 3 hours later, we got a call. Not from the bureau, from a block number. All the voice said was, "Stop. Watching. The baby." Then the line went dead. We tried. We really did. But the feed finds you. It starts as static, then flickers in your phone camera, then in your TikTok lives, Instagram filters, Snapchat glitches. It copies voices. It mimics people you know. Last week, my niece asked me why I was crying in her closet at 3 a.m. I wasn't home. I saw a post last night on r/paranormal. Did anyone else see that live feed of babies being force-fed in a McDonald's training video? The comments are gone now, but the username? It was Alan. He's still posting, still watching, still feeding. If you start hearing a baby cry at night, don't go outside. Don't look at it. Don't listen to it. And whatever you do, never ever smile back. It's 3:47 a.m. and I'm typing this in a Motel 6 just outside Quantico. I haven't been back to my apartment in 5 days. I don't even think it exists anymore. The city doesn't feel real. Everything looks too perfect, too clean, like a bad digital render of Washington, D.C. If I look too long at anyone's face, their mouths start twitching in this weird looping motion, like they're buffering, like they're trying to smile, but forgot how. Something has changed, something big, and it started the night I found the crawl space. Let me backtrack. After the baby feed _000 file dropped, the agency went dark. Like, literally. HQ shut down. Our internal servers were wiped. Everyone stopped answering their phones. Alan, gone. Brooks, vanished without a trace. All the doors at HQ were open, but the entire building smelled like copper and vinegar, like raw meat left in the sun. The lights were flickering, and there were these tiny crusted footprints leading down the hall. Bare feet, about the size of a toddler's, but the toes were too long. I tried to walk away, quit, leave the whole thing behind. Took my laptop, what cash I had, and hit the road. I figured if I could just disconnect, I'd be safe. Wrong. The first night I checked into a cheap Airbnb in Arlington, I noticed something wrong with the floor vent under the TV. It was partially open. I could hear something from inside, like whispering. No, repeating. A voice. My own voice, whispering, "I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I'm hungry." Over and over. I called the host, tried to play it cool. She said there was no vent under the TV. I sent her a picture. She blocked me within minutes. I left that night, but the voices followed. By day 3 on the run, my body started to rot, internally. I don't know how else to explain it. I couldn't stop puking. My teeth ached like they were loose. My nails began to yellow. I felt like I was being digested, slowly, like whatever the feed showed us had entered our bodies through the screens and was now breaking us down from the inside. I finally caved and called someone I used to know. Her name's Kara. She used to be on our cyber-terrorism task force before she left for private work in Tokyo. Real paranoid genius. She believed in things like cursed code and thought the dark web wasn't just illegal. She thought it was alive. She answered on the first ring. Before I said a word, she just said, "You fed, didn't you?" I didn't reply. I didn't have to. She told me to go somewhere old, somewhere forgotten. The feed can't replicate decay, she said. It thrives in new signals, modern tech. If you find where it started, you might find how to starve it. So I went back to where it started for me, my childhood home. My parents died in that house. I hadn't been back in over 12 years. It was abandoned, overgrown, boards on the windows. The air inside was thick with mold and the kind of stillness that presses down on your chest. But I felt safer there than anywhere else I'd been, until I found the crawl space. It was under the stairs. I swear to God it didn't exist before, not when I was a kid, but the wood was clean, freshly sawed. The latch was new, like it had been built for me. I opened it. Inside was a tunnel, narrow, dirt walls, pitch black, and from deep inside, I heard it, the crying. Except this time, it wasn't a baby, it was me. My own voice, crying from beneath the earth, sobbing like a child, and beneath the cries were layers of audio, like 100 different versions of me, all whispering, all trapped. It's so hungry. Why did you watch? You made it real. We're inside now. I should have run, but something pulled me in. I don't remember crawling. I don't remember choosing. I just remember the feeling of my kneecaps grinding against the floor, the dirt cutting into my palms, the space getting tighter and tighter until my ribs screamed. Then I saw them. Dozens, maybe hundreds of things huddled in the walls. Not people, not creatures, just faces stretched over wire frames, pale, twitching, their mouths wide open. Each one was a screen. Each one was playing a different moment of my life. Me laughing in high school. Me at a McDonald's with my first girlfriend. Me brushing my teeth, crying, vomiting, sleeping, watching the feed. I reached out to touch one. It bit me. The moment my finger touched the screen, the mouth snapped closed, taking my fingernail with it. The blood sprayed onto the floor and disappeared, absorbed, and the faces all began to chant, with my voice, feed, feed, feed. Then the tunnel shook. I scrambled backward, heart jackhammering, but something grabbed my leg. A hand. Small. Cold. Wrong. It wasn't skin. It was TV static in the shape of a hand. It glitched when it touched me, flickering between different textures. Fur, bone, concrete, plastic. Each time it changed, the pain shifted. I felt a bee sting, then a knife, then fire. I kicked it away and ran out of the tunnel, slamming the crawlspace door shut and dragging a bookshelf in front of it. But it didn't stop. My phone buzzed. New notification from TikTok, an account I didn't follow. At Babyfeed Official just went live. I deleted the app, threw the phone in a lake, got a burner. The next day, while pumping gas in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, I looked up at the gas station TV. It was playing a video, my face, smiling, saying, "It's not a baby." Then the screen cracked. I went to the FBI building in Quantico, demanding to speak to someone. They acted like they didn't know who I was. I showed them my badge. They told me that division never existed. When I tried to show them the video, any of the videos, they wouldn't load. Nothing worked. The feed was gone. But I know what that means. It's not gone. It's inside now. Last night, I woke up to scratching inside the motel wall, under the outlet, behind the headboard. I moved the furniture, got down on my knees. There was a tiny hole. A smell came out of it, sweet, like baby powder mixed with old meat. And from deep inside, I heard a sound, chewing, slurping, and a voice, mine, saying, "We're not full yet, but don't wait for it. If you start seeing static behind your eyelids, if your voice sounds off in recordings, if you hear yourself crying in the middle of the night, it's too late. The feed is watching through you now. There's a channel that doesn't exist. It doesn't show up on cable boxes. You won't find it on your Roku or Fire Stick or smart TV settings. There's no broadcast listing, no official registry, No FCC license. It isn't real. Not until you are. But once you've watched the feed, Channel Zero watches you back. It happened on the 5th night after I sealed the crawl space and left my old house for good. I was halfway through Nebraska, on back roads Google Maps didn't even name, chasing a signal I should have ignored. My rental car was almost out of gas, and I hadn't eaten in a day and a half. The sky looked fake. I know how that sounds, but it did. Like someone took a stock photo of a cloudy sky and pasted it over the atmosphere. The clouds didn't move. The sun didn't set. I drove under the same broken-down billboard for McDonald's all-day breakfast 3 times in different directions. I realized then I wasn't on Earth anymore. Not the Earth you know. I was inside something. I finally found a gas station. It didn't have a name, just a red neon sign that said "Eat." I pulled in. The station was empty. Dust on the floor. Flies swarming the fluorescent lights. I pushed open the door and was hit by a wall of cold air. Not the kind that comes from a working fridge, but the kind you feel when something wrong is in the room. The kind of cold that makes your bones ache before your skin reacts. There was a TV in the corner of the store. Old CRT box, duct taped to a shelf. It was off until it wasn't. The screen flicked on, loud static flooding the room, so loud it made my eyes vibrate in their sockets. Then the image came through. Channel Zero. The logo wasn't text. It was a mouth. A real mouth. Human and wet and twitching, floating in a black void. It whispered directly into my skull. Welcome back. The screen changed. It was me, sitting in the gas station, watching the screen. But there was no camera. It was like it was filming from my reflection. A reversed, mirrored version of the room, except I looked older, thinner. My teeth were missing. My eyes were hollow. My tongue was too long, hanging out like a wet cloth. And behind me, in the mirror, was a crib. Not a baby crib. It was metal, rusted, with hooks hanging above it. Each hook held a mask. Not costume masks. Faces, human skin, peeled, hollowed out, lips still trembling, eyes sewn open. The feed was growing. I turned to run and slammed into something solid. It wasn't the door. It wasn't a person. It was a mirror, where the exit used to be. Floor to ceiling. Seamless. In it, my reflection didn't move. It stared at me, bleeding from the nose. Its fingers were crawling, literally crawling, like spider legs. It opened its mouth, wider than should be possible. They're watching through your pores now, it whispered, and then it began to peel. Not its face, its entire head, unwrapping like wet paper. Underneath, a screen, playing a video. The same room, but now I was inside the crib. When I woke up, I was lying in the parking lot. My arm was dislocated, twisted completely around, like a doll someone dropped. My phone was buzzing non-stop, even though I had no signal. Every notification was from the same app, Baby Feed TV. Go live now? Your audience is waiting. Feed, feed, feed. I threw the phone. I smashed it under my boot until it bled battery acid. I crushed the SIM and dropped it in a storm drain. Didn't matter. That night, I checked into a cheap roadside inn outside Kansas City. I had to rest. My bones ached. My skin itched. I hadn't eaten anything real in 2 days, but I couldn't keep anything down. Food felt wrong in my mouth, like chewing rubber soaked in milk. There was a TV mounted to the ceiling. I didn't turn it on, but it turned itself on at 3:09 a.m. Volume muted, no static, just the same channel, the mouth logo, twitching, then a live feed. A Starbucks. Somewhere real. I could tell by the background music playing faintly. Billie Eilish. I could hear the baristas calling out drinks, but the camera wasn't pointed at the customers. It was under the counter, and in the corner of the frame, stuffed between boxes of cups and syrup bottles, was a baby. Except it wasn't a baby. It had no face, just smooth skin where the features should have been. But I could hear it, breathing, sniffing, and it turned, as if it saw me through the screen. Then the barista leaned down to grab something, and the faceless baby reached out and touched her arm. She screamed, but not like a human scream. It was digital, like someone tearing through a modem while on fire. Then the TV cut to black. I left. Again. Kept moving. I thought I was escaping. I thought maybe if I kept my head down, drove far enough, I could find a dead zone. Somewhere the feed couldn't reach. Then I saw the billboard. Miles outside Phoenix. Black background. No company name. Just a single sentence in white block letters. Your skin is a screen. And below it, a phone number. I called it. A child's voice answered. Not real. Glitched. Hi, this is Baby. Want to play a game? I didn't speak. It giggled. Say your name and I'll show you what your bones look like when they're full of static. The line cut out. My nose started bleeding again. That brings us to now. I'm in another motel. I haven't eaten in 3 days. The last time I tried, I bit into a burger and found teeth inside it. Not mine. Not even human. They were like shark teeth, but made of glass. My mouth is still bleeding. The feed is stronger than ever. It doesn't need servers now. It doesn't need apps. It lives in reflections, in signals, in mirrors, in you. You see your phone glitch for a second. That's it crawling in. You see a shadow behind you when you're alone. That's it watching. You record a TikTok and your face looks too smooth, too stretched, your smile too wide. That's the feed's baby, wearing your skin like a filter. It doesn't want views anymore. It wants you. If you're already infected, there's only one way out. You have to starve it. No screens, no signals, no smiles, and above all else, never say your own name out loud again. That's how it finds you. That's how it feeds. There's no exit. I know that now. This thing, this feed, wasn't built. It was born, not from code or servers or routers. It wasn't programmed in some basement by a neckbeard hacker with too much time and too little sanity. It was birthed, out of us, out of everything we consume and record and share. Every scream we ignore, every tragedy we livestream, every child's cry uploaded for sympathy clicks. It grew from the rot we feed it every time we look. It's not a program, it's a god. And I met it. 3 days ago, I followed a broadcast, not on a device, not from a signal, from my body. It started in my teeth, a buzzing, like a loose filling humming against a power line. Every time I opened my mouth, I heard static. Every time I blinked, the backs of my eyelids flickered with frames I didn't recognize. Faces melting, buildings breathing, my mother staring at me with no eyes, holding a bottle full of writhing pink fingers and saying, "You forgot to finish your feeding, baby boy." I drove until the car stopped responding. The GPS flipped upside down. The map folded in on itself, like it was gagging on coordinates that never existed. I ended up outside a retired signal tower in the New Mexico desert. No roads, no signs, just rusted fences and sand that moved like liquid. Every footstep sank me deeper, but I had no choice. My bones itched. My nails were falling off in strips. The feed was pulling me home. The tower was hollowed out, blackened from some ancient fire. Inside, the walls pulsed. Not metaphorically, They literally pulsed, like lungs inhaling ash. The air was thick with burnt sugar and copper. Every surface was sticky, as if the entire room had been painted in congealed syrup and old tears. There was no door, just a screen, 12 feet high, glowing, playing me, naked, crying, crouched in a corner, covered in blood, smiling. Then the screen split open, not like glass cracking, but like flesh tearing. And it stepped out, the feed's true form, not a creature, not a person, a stack of bodies, children, old men, nurses, cops, dogs, babies, faces warped and stretched over an impossible shape, as if reality was trying to remember what form it once had. And in the center of it all, like a tumor birthing thoughts, was a crib, made of teeth, dripping black saliva. Inside, it was a mouth, only a mouth. No face, no skull, just lips and gums and hundreds of human tongues, all whispering in perfect sync, "Feed me you." Then it began to play the video, not on a screen, on the sky. The clouds bent into film reels, the stars became pixels, the sun flickered like a corrupted JPEG, and there I was again, being born, screaming, except this time, the doctor was faceless. The nurse was chewing glass. My mother was holding a phone and filming it, whispering, "Look at the likes, baby. Look how many people love your pain." I vomited blood into the sand. It spelled out my name, but not the one I remember, not the one I was born with. The name the feed gave me. User, baby feed 666. I don't know how long I screamed, but eventually I woke up inside a padded room. No windows, no light, just a phone bolted to the wall. No buttons, just a screen with one icon. Go live. When I refused to touch it, the wall started playing sound bites. Voices of people I knew. My ex-girlfriend, my father, my childhood best friend, Alan. All of them whispering, "He won't feed. He's starving us. Make him watch. Make him watch." Then the phone dialed itself. The screen lit up. It showed a Starbucks bathroom, and in the sink was a baby, covered in blood, scrubbing its face off with a sponge soaked in black tar. Then the screen said, "Stream starting in 3, 2, 1. And then I woke up in a mall, midday. Families, kids, people on their phones, Starbucks cups, Target bags, laughter, selfies, everything normal, except the TVs in the food court, all playing me, streaming live. The title, "Real Dark Web Cop Exposes Baby Feed, Must See." And in the comments, @Alan was here. He's lying. He fed. Nanny Mouth 88. Look at his eyes. They're full. 0 channel. Let him scream. We're all watching now. The baby god. .live. Open wide. So I did what I thought would end it. I climbed onto a table. I screamed the truth. I begged them to smash their phones, cover their mirrors, stop recording their lives like it meant something. They laughed. They filmed me. The feed wants us to tell the story now. It's the final twist. You spread it with fear. You warn people not to look, and they look anyway. Curiosity is its viral core. Terror is its transmission. That's the final design of the feed. You watching this. You reading this. Your screen is now its mirror. You have no reflection anymore. Only playback. And me? I'm done. I'm not posting this to warn you. I'm posting this because the feed told me to. It said if I get 100,000 views, I can go home. If I get 1,000,000, it'll give me my skin back. So share it, stream it, record your reaction, tag your friends. Let's go viral together. Because you heard the crying. You opened the door. And now, it's not a baby. It's you. I matched a Tinder date on the dark web. He won't stop digging on the backyard. He says he's almost found his old body. Alright, I wasn't planning on posting this here, but after what happened last night, I need to get this out. I'm still shaking as I type this. I don't know if it's fear or just straight up confusion, but if something happens to me, please, let this be proof I didn't just disappear. This started about 2 weeks ago. I was sitting in my room, binge watching those animated horror stories on YouTube. You know, the kind with creepy voiceovers and way too smooth animation. And I got this random idea. What if there was a version of Tinder, but like for the dark web? I know, sounds stupid, but hear me out. I was in one of those late night, no sleep, too much coffee kind of moods. You know when your brain's like, let's make a mistake real quick. Yeah, that was me. So I went on Reddit, searched some sketchy threads, fell down this digital rabbit hole, and eventually landed on this hidden .onion link someone casually dropped in a comment. It was just called Red Room Date. No branding, no logo, just a black screen, red letters, and a login prompt. I don't even remember registering. It felt like my fingers were moving before I even thought about it. I used a fake name, Ember, threw in a burner email. Simple stuff. But once I hit submit, the screen flickered, glitched, and suddenly I was looking at this stripped down Tinder clone. The profiles had no bios, just pictures, no names, no age filters, just a red heart or a black X. And the faces, God, I wish I could forget them. Some looked normal, weirdly normal, but others were off. You ever see those AI-generated faces where the eyes are too wide or the teeth don't line up? Yeah, that vibe. But one profile caught my eye because it was, well, kinda hot. Dark curly hair, pale skin, piercing gray eyes. He had this crooked grin, like he knew something you didn't. The pic looked like it was taken in a diner. A greasy one, like a rundown Denny's or something. You could see a neon open 24 hours sign behind him. I don't know why I swiped right. I wish I hadn't. His profile loaded instantly. Match found, Ezra. And right after that, it sent me his location. Like actual location. Not 5 miles away stuff, but a full Google Maps pin dropped right in my area. Like, down the street. I laughed at first. Haha, it's just a creepy prank. But then, literally not even 30 seconds later, I got a DM on Instagram. I hadn't posted my IG anywhere. Not connected to that email. Not in my bio. Nothing. But there he was. Ezra sleeps. Hey, Ember. Want to get coffee tomorrow? My stomach dropped. Like ice cold. I clicked on his profile, and it looked normal. He had like 800 followers, posted pictures of latte art, vinyl records, moody bookstore selfies. Honestly, the whole vibe was hipster serial killer, but in a cute way. I know, I'm stupid. We met up the next day, Starbucks on Main. I almost backed out twice, but I told myself I was being paranoid. He showed up wearing this long brown coat and a black hoodie. In person, he looked even more unreal, like he wasn't fully there. But he smiled, and I smiled, and we sat down, and he just stared, like he was trying to remember me. So, you're Ember, he said. His voice was calm, almost dreamy, like a late-night radio host. You look different from last time. I laughed awkwardly. What do you mean, last time? You wouldn't remember, but I've been looking for you. I think I found where it happened. I was like, okay, he's either being cute or he's completely fried. But then he said this, I think my old body's still in your backyard. I laughed again, like a haha what kind of laugh. But he didn't laugh. He just sipped his drink and looked out the window. I can hear it sometimes, he whispered, calling me from under the tree. That's when I got chills, because we do have a tree in the backyard, an old massive oak. My dad said it's been there since before the house was even built. Things ancient. I ended the date early, said I had work. He offered to walk me home. I declined, obviously. But when I got back, the back gate was open, and there were muddy footprints leading from the tree to the porch. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't go outside for 2 days. After the footprints, I kept all the doors locked, curtains shut, lights off, even unplugged the Alexa and turned off my phone's location services. I was trying not to lose it, pacing back and forth in the living room like some paranoid weirdo. But I couldn't stop thinking about that tree. Ezra had said it so casually. My old body, like it was just some forgotten sweater he left behind at an Airbnb. I tried telling myself it was a joke, some elaborate dark web LARP, or weird TikTok prank channel stuff. But then something happened that made me realize this wasn't a game. At 3:12 a.m. that second night, my Ring camera pinged, motion in the backyard. I opened a feed, half asleep and annoyed, expecting to see a raccoon or maybe the neighbor's cat. But no, Ezra was standing in the middle of the yard, not moving, just standing there, barefoot in the mud, soaking wet like he'd been swimming in sewage. His face looked different, older maybe, like he was sagging, melting, folding in on himself. His eyes didn't reflect the infrared light like normal eyes do. They just absorbed it, like holes burned into the screen. And then he smiled, that same crooked grin from his profile picture, except now his teeth looked wrong, too small, too many. He raised his hand slowly and pointed down toward the base of the oak tree, and then he dug. He didn't use a shovel. He used his hands, just clawing at the earth, dragging his nails through the dirt like a rabid animal. I couldn't look away. He didn't stop, not for over 3 hours. I watched him from the Ring feed, frozen on the couch, blanket over my mouth like it would muffle my breathing somehow. At one point, he turned and whispered something into the camera, but the audio didn't pick it up. All I heard was this faint, static scratching, like worms writhing through metal. When I checked in the morning, he was gone. But the hole he dug, it was deep, like a good 4 feet. And whatever he was digging toward, he hadn't reached it yet. I could feel it in the air, like something under there was waiting. That same day, I found the journal in the shed. It wasn't mine. It wasn't my parents'. It was hidden under a loose floorboard, wrapped in this yellowed, rotting cloth. Smelled like mildew and burnt hair. Inside were pages and pages of drawings. Human anatomy, but wrong. People with multiple rib cages, skulls with extra jaws, eyeballs sketched in the palms of hands. Each entry was labeled with a date and a name. The last entry, Ezra sleeps, November 12, 1993. Rebirth location 39.54817 -100 19.81602. I looked it up. That's our address. I couldn't breathe. Later that night, I got a voicemail from a private number. No caller ID, just 7 seconds long. I saved the file and played it back with the volume all the way up, headphones on. It was the sound of something wet being pulled from soil, like a vacuum seal opening underwater. Then a voice, raspy, broken, like someone talking through a cracked speaker. You were there when I died. I remember your screaming. I nearly threw my phone across the room. I don't remember any of that. I wasn't even born in 1993. I googled my house, tried to dig up old newspaper articles, crime reports, anything. That's when I found it. May 1994. Local baby found on front lawn. No family found. Case remains unsolved. They found a baby on my front lawn, wrapped in that same yellow cloth. I messaged my mom. Not a call. I couldn't even bring myself to hear her voice. Just a message, asking if I was adopted. She left me on red for 6 hours, then sent 3 words. You weren't supposed to know. I didn't reply. I couldn't. That night I heard digging again, but this time, it wasn't just Ezra. It sounded like more hands, dozens, scratching, clawing, whimpering, like children trying to escape something below. It echoed through the floorboards. I pressed my ear to the hardwood, and I swear to God, I heard breathing, low, labored, wet. The backyard was glowing faintly, like the dirt was reflecting moonlight, even though the moon wasn't out. I opened my bedroom window a crack and caught the smell. Rotten meat, copper, something like formaldehyde. And then I saw him. Ezra was standing over the hole again, except this time, he wasn't alone. There were others with him. 7, maybe 8, all barefoot, all gray-skinned, heads twitching like marionettes, eyes bulging out of sockets like someone stretched their skin too tight. They moved like insects, unnatural and stiff. One of them, taller than the others, carried something in their arms. It looked like a mannequin at first. Then it twitched. It wasn't a mannequin. It was me. Not me now. Me as a kid. Same pajamas from an old baby photo. Same scar on the cheek from when I fell off the swings. The thing in his arms was a copy of me, limp and twitching, like it was trying to wake up. Ezra looked up at my window and smiled. Then he whispered something I'll never forget. You were never born. You were dug up. Do not try to look up Red Room date. Do not click on anything with a .onion URL unless you know exactly what you're doing. This isn't just deep web horror movie stuff. This is something else. And whatever Ezra's looking for down there, he's almost found it. I haven't left the house in 5 days. I've been surviving off expired granola bars and bottles of lukewarm Gatorade from the garage fridge. Every window is blacked out with duct tape and trash bags. The lights are off. Even the fridge hum sounds too loud. Every creak in the walls makes me flinch. Something in me knows that if I step outside, I won't come back the same. Or maybe I won't come back at all. But it's already too late. I think it's inside. The hole in the backyard has gotten wider, deeper. I saw it in a nightmare. Or maybe I was awake. I can't tell anymore. The lines have blurred. I wake up with dirt under my fingernails and cuts on my feet. Sometimes I find leaves in my hair. I haven't been outside, but something's been bringing the outside in. And last night, I watched myself crawl out of the dirt. It started just after midnight. I was lying on the floor of the living room, wrapped in a blanket that smelled like mold and mothballs. My phone was dead. No power, no signal. The air had that static feeling, like right before a lightning strike. That kind of pressure behind your ears. Then the earth started moaning, not like an earthquake, not like tectonic rumbling. This was biological. The ground outside wasn't shaking. It was breathing, swelling, contracting, like the entire yard had a heartbeat. I could hear it through the floorboards, this pulsing, sloshing thump, thump, thump. And in between those heartbeats, whispering, not words, just wet little secrets being traded between roots and bones, I cracked the curtain just an inch, just enough to see. There were 3 of them now. Not Ezra, not those twitching corpse things. Me. 3 versions of me, standing barefoot in the grass. Same face, same scars, same anxious tick where I scratched my thumb with my middle finger. They were watching the hole. One of them was smiling, like it knew something the rest of me didn't. Then I heard him. Ezra. He was underground. I swear to God, I could hear him under the dirt, breathing through the soil, humming something low and cracked, like a lullaby played on broken cassette tape. The hole yawned open wider, dirt spilling in reverse, rising instead of falling, and then it crawled out. Not Ezra, not me. It looked like a fetus the size of a German shepherd, skin like black wax, face half-formed, no eyes, just impressions of where eyes should be. It dragged itself out with jointless arms, like wet noodles trying to remember how bones worked, and in its hand, a tooth. My tooth. Not a random one, either. My molar. The one I cracked during that middle school fight behind the McDonald's on 8th Street. I'd kept the cap in a drawer for years, until it disappeared. I thought I lost it. It dug it up. The thing cradled the tooth to its chest, like a baby doll, and started cooing. That's when the others, the other me's, stepped forward and knelt. One of them kissed the thing's forehead. Another offered it a dead bird. The third just stared straight at my window. Then the cooing stopped. The thing turned its head toward me, slow and jerky, like a puppet on old strings, and it smiled. But it didn't have teeth, just little rows of bone shards lining the inside of its cheeks, like someone took the concept of a mouth and remixed it through a blender. It said my name, my real name, the one I've never used online, the one that's only on my birth certificate and nowhere else. You were born wrong. Then the lights in the house exploded. I don't mean they turned off. I mean they detonated. Every bulb, every screen, every goddamn LED strip in my room popped like overcooked eggs. Shards of glass rained down like it was raining teeth. I curled into a ball and screamed until my throat bled. When I opened my eyes, I was alone. Sort of. Because something had been left behind. There was mud in the hallway, handprints on the walls, child-sized footprints leading toward the basement door. I didn't even know we had a basement. I followed them like an idiot. The basement was locked, sealed, actually, like a hospital quarantine door. But the lock was broken. Looked like someone had bitten through it. Inside, it was cold. Too cold. Like a morgue freezer. There were jars on shelves, labeled with tape and Sharpie. Tongue, Ember, age 6. Left eye, trial number 12. Spine fragment, rejected host. The smell hit me second. Preserved flesh. Something between vinegar and blood. I backed up and stepped on something soft. A photograph. It was of me, taken from outside my window. Last week. I was sleeping. Behind me, barely visible in the shadows, was Ezra. His hand was inches from my face. But here's the worst part. There was writing on the back of the photo, scrawled in dirt brown ink. Your birth was a burial. You are not who you think. You are what I left behind. I ran upstairs. I locked the door. I cried. I screamed. I punched the wall until I cracked my knuckles open. Blood ran down my wrist and stained the floor. And then, from behind me, a voice whispered, "You dug me up." I turned. The mirror was fogging over, but I hadn't taken a shower. There was no steam. and in the fog, written like finger marks. Switch. My reflection blinked first. Don't dig. Don't sleep. And for the love of whatever is still human in you, don't answer the reflection when it speaks. It's not just watching me now. It's mimicking me. Down to the exact second. I didn't sleep last night, or the night before. I've stopped checking the clocks. They don't matter anymore. Time is broken in this house. Nothing moves right. The shadows lag when I walk past them. The floorboards creak in reverse. And the mirror doesn't show now. It shows after, like it's waiting for me to catch up to my own death. I boarded up every mirror in the house, except the one in the bathroom. That one won't let me cover it. I tried. I nailed plywood over it. It bled. Actual blood. Deep, thick, arterial spray, like someone just got their throat slashed. The boards rotted within minutes, melted like wet paper, and then it smiled at me again. That twitchy, off-center smirk. My smirk, but wrong, looser, like the skin was borrowed, and it moved when I didn't. I was brushing my teeth, hands shaking, foam dribbling down my chin. In the mirror, I lifted the toothbrush to my eye, and pushed, hard. I screamed, stumbled back, dropped the brush. My reflection kept going. The sound of bristles grinding into the cornea still haunts me, like a sponge against bone. Then it blinked. Just one eye. There's something I haven't told you. I started getting messages again. Not texts, not voicemails. Actual printed letters. Slipped under my door in the middle of the night. No envelope, no stamp. Just folded pages, damp and reeking of moss. First one said, "You are not a person. You are a copy of a copy of a copy." The second, "Ezra was never the original. He was the last successful failure." The third one came with something else. A finger, still twitching. Fingernail painted the exact same color as mine. Black, chipped, same uneven coat. On the side of the nail was a little engraving. R for Ember, like a serial number, like I'm just a run of some sick experiment. I think I was the fourth. I don't know what happened to 1, 2, or 3, but I hear something moving in the walls now. Something that knows how to crawl in places bones weren't made to bend. 2 nights ago, I tried to leave. Packed a bag. Didn't even care about clothes. Just essentials. Flashlight, wallet, knife, the photos from the basement. I made it to the front door. Got it unlocked. But when I stepped outside, it wasn't my neighborhood. It was the same layout, yeah. Same cul-de-sac. Same houses. Same dead bird on the sidewalk. But everything was wrong. Too quiet. Too still. Like someone pressed pause on reality and forgot to hit play again. There were no stars. The sky was just a low gray ceiling, sagging like wet drywall. And in the distance, walking toward me on all fours, dragging its stomach across the pavement, was something with my face. Not current me. Younger me. 5 years old, wearing my old Lightning McQueen pajamas, skin flayed like a skinned deer. Its mouth was stretched to the ears, lips gone. Just exposed gums, teeth chattering like they were trying to say a word without permission. Switch. I ran back inside and locked the door. The handle turned on its own 3 minutes later. It knocked. Once, then scratched until morning. Last night, Ezra came inside. I didn't open anything. I swear. He just appeared. I heard the sound first. The same sound I heard on that voicemail. Flesh being pulled from soil, like something giving birth to a mistake. And then he was in the hallway, dripping with that same black dirt, shirtless, skin carved with symbols that looked like burned fingerprints. He didn't look at me. He walked past me, like I was furniture. Eyes black, empty, hungry, like all he could see was what I used to be, or what I was supposed to be. He stopped in front of the bathroom mirror, tilted his head, laughed. The sound made my nose bleed instantly, high-pitched, insect-like. It sounded like TV static whispering secrets in Morse code. Then he said, "It's not just a reflection. It's a recording. It's trying to show you your origin." He turned to me, smiled, opened his mouth and poured out worms. Thousands, pale, translucent. They hissed when they touched the floor, leaving little trails of smoke. They curled around my ankles like they knew me. And then he whispered, "You're almost ripe. Don't worry. The harvest will be painless. For you, at least." Then he collapsed, into dust. Just poof, like someone deleted him from reality mid-sentence. The worms stayed. I tried stabbing one. It bled. Not worm blood. Human blood. Type O negative, based on the test I did with a kit from the kitchen drawer. Who has that? That's the universal donor. It's the kind they use in transfusions when people are dying. The blood smelled like my breath when I wake up. This morning, the hole in the backyard reached the house. Not near it. In it. There's a crack in the living room floor now, right under the couch. You can feel it breathe, and it's getting wider. There are fingers coming through it, thin, childlike, dirt-caked, scratching at the tile like they're trying to write a name. Sometimes they pull back suddenly, like they're scared of me, or maybe they recognize me, because every time I get close to the hole, I feel something in my chest. Click, like a key finally turning in a lock that's been sealed for decades. And from inside the earth, I swear I hear a chorus of voices, not chanting, crying, not out of fear, out of relief, like they've been waiting for me to return. If you've read this far, you're already infected. If you've seen my reflection, it's memorized your shape. And when the digging starts, don't scream. The dirt remembers. I haven't eaten in 3 days. I don't feel hungry. I think my body stopped asking for the things it doesn't need anymore. Food, sleep, light, air. They're optional now. My lungs still rise and fall, but there's nothing in them. It's just the motion. My skin is cold, but I don't shiver. I bleed, but the blood is dark and thick like oil. I feel things moving under it. Something woke up inside me, and it wants to come out. The crack in the floor split open yesterday. Not like a crack, not like an earthquake. It peeled, like flesh, like the house was a corpse, and someone was unzipping it to check the organs. What's underneath isn't wood or dirt or concrete. It's teeth, mismatched. Some cracked, some gold, some still chewing. And below that, there's a tunnel, lined with human faces, pressed into the walls. They aren't dead. They blink when you pass. Mouths twitch, gasping words like help and switch. And again, one of them was my mother's face. Same scar under her eye, same mole on her chin. I called her name. She didn't respond. She just stared at me, with my eyes. I've been down here for hours, days. I don't know. My skin is peeling. It's not from rot. It's from shedding, the way snakes do, the way a body makes room for something else. Something better, stronger, older, something that remembers being whole. I found a chamber below the tunnel, round, walls smooth, like polished stone, but they breathe. Every few minutes the walls expand and contract, and the air smells like amniotic fluid and rust. I think I'm inside something alive. I heard the sound of a shovel scraping dirt. I wasn't alone. Ezra was already here. He wasn't digging anymore. He was waiting, and he was different now. Not a person, not a man, a husk draped in flesh, like a borrowed coat. His limbs had split into extra joints. His mouth had opened too wide, cracked into his cheeks. Inside it, I saw a second mouth, and a third. He looked at me and said, "You're ready." I tried to back away, but my feet wouldn't move. They were rooted, literally. Black tendrils had sprouted from my soles and sunk into the floor, feeding off the warm, wet stone. I screamed, but it came out wrong, wet and reversed, like a sob played backward. Ezra reached into his chest and pulled out something that shouldn't exist. It looked like a spine, but it was moving, curling, waiting to be inserted. Then he said the words that have broken me permanently. "The body you're in is a rental. The soul's just squatting." He shoved the spine into my throat. I felt it wrap around my own, thread by thread, bone fusing to bone. My vision went black, then red, then familiar. I saw myself again, but this time from above, like a puppet watching its puppeteer, like a worm looking out of a skull it didn't build. The body stood, but I was behind its eyes now. I could feel something beneath the skin. It was wearing me. I wasn't controlling it. I was inhabiting it. And all around the chamber, they woke up. The walls cracked open, and the others came out. All versions of me. Different timelines, different failures. One with no mouth, one with no eyes, one that slithered instead of walked. All of them born wrong, all of them returning. We stood in a circle, and Ezra began to chant, not in words, in sounds that bypass language and hit the part of your brain that forgets how to scream. Vibrations that made my stomach turn inside out and my teeth itch. He said the ritual was called returning the flesh. The ground split open one final time. Inside, it was me, the real me, dead, rotted, mummified, wearing my childhood clothes, holding a teddy bear I haven't seen since I was 6. Its jaw unhinged, and it whispered, "Thank you. You kept the body warm." Then it crawled inside me. I woke up in my bed. It's daytime. My phone's at 100%. Notifications from Instagram, Tinder, Snapchat, new match, new messages. Everything is normal, except my reflection is still smiling, and I'm not. I went downstairs. My parents were at the table, smiling, eating breakfast. Only, I don't remember my parents being alive. They turned and said, "You slept in, sweetie." And their faces began to melt. Not quickly, slowly, like wax in a microwave. Eyes drooping, teeth sliding out of place. One of them opened their mouth and Ezra's voice came out. "We're so proud of you. The dirt is ready again." I backed out of the room. Every step I took, the house aged. The paint peeled, the wallpaper shriveled, the floors buckled, the light turned yellow, then red, then completely black. When I looked back down the hallway, my room wasn't there anymore. There was just the hole, still breathing, still hungry. I'm writing this from a gas station bathroom 60 miles outside my town. The guy at the counter didn't blink. Not once. His name tag said, Ezra number 007. I don't think I left. I don't think I can. Because now I know. I wasn't born. I was grown. I was a vessel for something older than God, something that left the earth once and has been crawling back through us ever since. Ezra wasn't a man. He was a seed. And I was the soil. Because I'm not writing this anymore. You are. And when you looked into the screen, when you read these words, when you pictured the hole in your mind, you gave it your shape. Now it knows what you look like. And soon, It will dig. I rented a cabin in the woods from the dark web with no cell service. Someone keeps sending me photos from the inside. Okay, so I know how this sounds. Trust me, I know. Renting a random cabin in the woods off the dark web, I sound like I'm begging to get murdered by some mask-wearing psycho in the middle of nowhere, right? But just hang with me. This story goes way deeper than that. It's been eating at me for weeks now, and I gotta get it off my chest. I don't know if I'm being watched right now, or if this is just paranoia, but if something happens to me after I post this, someone has to know what I saw. Let me back up a bit. I'm 24, college dropout, currently working remote for a social media marketing gig. Not super glamorous or anything, but it pays the bills and lets me travel. A few months ago, I started watching these dark web mystery box videos. You know the ones. Some dude with creepy music, unboxing trash. He probably staged himself. But then I found this forum on the actual dark web. Yeah, I know how stupid this sounds. And it was like a travel Airbnb, but low-key illegal. Listings that weren't on any public sites, with no reviews, no photos, nothing. Just a vague description, usually something like, secluded mountain retreat, no cell service, cash only, stay off-grid, $500 a week, sketchy, 100%. But I was curious, and the thought of completely unplugging sounded weirdly appealing after a rough few months, so I booked one. The process was sketchy as hell. I had to use Monero to pay, and the guy I messaged, he called himself Drifter, only replied with a single sentence. Directions will arrive by mail. Burn after reading. I thought it was all part of the act, honestly, like some ARG thing. I was convinced it was just a marketing stunt, or an edgy Reddit post waiting to happen. I even joked about it on Snapchat. Bota gets serial killed. Wish me luck, lol. The directions came 3 days later, in a plain white envelope. No return address. It looked like someone had typed it up on a typewriter, like old school. No road names, just weird stuff like, drive north on Route 66 until you see a dead deer on the left. Take the dirt path behind it. Follow for 13 minutes. When you see the rusted bathtub, stop and walk the rest of the way. Yeah, a bathtub, just chilling in the woods like it's a horror movie set. At this point, most sane people would have turned around, but I was in it. And honestly, the drive up was beautiful. Colorado mountains, early spring mist, no cars for miles. Felt like a dream, until I got there. The cabin looked normal at first, kinda run down, but not creepy, just old. A little 2-story wood shack with one busted window, surrounded by trees so dense it felt like nighttime, even at 3 p.m. There was a red chair on the porch, a stack of chopped wood, and a small locked mailbox next to the door. Inside was musty, like old books and mildew, but it wasn't disgusting. It had electricity, barely, running water, a fireplace, and even this ancient flat-screen TV that only played static when I turned it on. No cell signal, no Wi-Fi, not even a hint of a bar. I figured, cool, finally, peace and quiet. That first night, I lit a fire and cracked open a book I brought. The wind outside was loud, like howling through the cracks loud. The kind of wind you think might carry voices if you listen too hard. I tried to ignore it, but then something weird happened around 1 a.m. The old laptop on the desk in the corner, a thick, dusty Dell that looked straight out of 2005, powered on by itself. I didn't even know it was plugged in. It made this loud whirring noise, like the fan was dying, and then just booted up. The screen flickered for a second, then opened straight to a folder called Cabin Pics. Curiosity got me, obviously. I clicked it. Inside were hundreds of images, all time-stamped, all dated from the past week. Every single photo was taken inside the cabin. Some of them were from my angle, like from where I was sitting at that moment. Others were from behind the furniture, behind the couch, from the upstairs loft, places I hadn't even explored yet. I slammed the lid shut so fast, it felt like my heart was gonna punch through my chest. I told myself it was probably a prank. Maybe someone left those photos as part of the dark web experience. Maybe I was overthinking it. Then the laptop made a ping noise, like it had received a new file. I opened it again, hands shaking. A new photo had been added, time-stamped literally 1 minute ago. It was a photo of me, looking at the laptop. There was no one else in the photo, but there was something like a shadow behind me, long and stretched, too tall to be mine. I turned around so fast, I knocked over the chair. No one, just the crackling fire and the god-awful wind. I didn't sleep that night. I kept the fire going and sat in the corner with a kitchen knife I found in a drawer. I kept telling myself I'd leave in the morning, just walk until I got a signal. Something, anything, but in the morning, there was a new photo waiting. It was of me, sleeping on the floor, knife in hand, and that shadow was closer now, like it was watching me breathe. So, things didn't get better after the second photo. I didn't pack my stuff and leave in the morning like I told myself I would. I couldn't, because when I opened the front door at sunrise, it wasn't the same view I came in through. It was just more trees, no road, no trail, no rusted bathtub, just this thick wall of fog curling between the trunks like it was alive, and an awful smell hanging in the air, like meat left out in the sun for days. Rotten, wet, wrong. I must have wandered for over an hour, yelling like an idiot, even trying to climb up a boulder to see if I could spot the road. But there was nothing. I swear, it felt like the forest kept shifting around me, like the trees weren't in the same place twice. When I finally made it back to the cabin, the front door was wide open. I know I closed it when I left. I even double-checked the lock. Inside, nothing looked touched, except the fireplace. The fire was going again, and I hadn't lit it. This is where it starts getting bad, like real bad. If you're the type to get easily freaked out, maybe don't keep reading. I'm not saying that to sound dramatic. I'm saying it because I can't unsee this stuff now, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. There was a knock that night, not on the door, on the floorboards. I know what knocking sounds like. This was 3 solid thuds, like someone was banging from under the living room floor. I thought maybe it was a crawl space or something, some raccoon or possum that got stuck. But when I moved the rug aside, I saw it. A door, dead center in the floor. A square wooden hatch, held shut with rusted metal hinges, and one of those old padlocks that looked like it came out of a haunted museum. I don't know how I missed it before, but I swear, it wasn't there when I arrived. There were scratch marks all around the edges, long, desperate, deep, like fingernails had clawed their way around the wood trying to get out, or maybe trying to get in. I didn't sleep again. I stayed upstairs, knife in hand, staring at that trapdoor all night, but nothing came out. At 3:09 a.m., the laptop pinged again. This time, the folder had a video. I clicked it. No intro, no sound, just raw footage from a handheld camera, shaky as hell. It was filmed in the cabin, my cabin, but way more trashed. Furniture flipped, floorboards warped, and dark, like they were soaked in something. I watched as the camera moved through the main room, past the kitchen, toward the trapdoor. It opened by itself, slow, creaking, and then a hand came out, pale, long fingers. The nails were cracked and black at the edges, twitching. It crawled out like something blind, feeling the air, and then another hand gripped the edge. The video glitched for a second, and then there was a face. If you can even call it that. It didn't have eyes, just skin stretched over where the socket should have been, like someone had sewn it shut. Its mouth was crooked, open too wide, like it had been torn there. And the teeth, oh my God, the teeth weren't right. They were human, but too many, like layers of them, and they clicked together like a bug chittering when it moved. I slammed the laptop shut and nearly threw up. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just kept hearing the knocking sound from earlier, over and over in my head. I was shaking so bad I dropped the knife. Then I heard it again. Thud, 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 from beneath the floor. I ran into the bathroom and locked myself in. There's this little window over the sink, barely big enough to crawl through, and I was this close to trying it when I saw something written in the fogged up mirror. Smile for the next one. I froze. I wiped the mirror with my sleeve. Nothing there, just steam. But behind me, through the crack of the door, I heard footsteps. Wet footsteps, squishing against the wood like something was dragging itself across the floor with torn skin and broken bones. I didn't move for hours, just sat there, in the dark, barely breathing, knife back in my hand. When I finally got the courage to come out, it was morning, or at least it looked like morning. Everything was the same, but colder, like the whole place had been dipped in ice. The fireplace was out, even though I never put it out. The couch cushions were slashed open, and the laptop, the screen was cracked, like something had punched through it from the inside. There was a new photo, still visible, behind the broken glass. It was me, in the bathroom, mirror fogged up, something tall standing right behind me. It didn't look like the thing from the video. This one was worse, taller, wearing something like a suit, but not a normal one, like it was stitched together from people's clothes. You could see name tags from different jobs, Starbucks, McDonald's, Target, like it wore uniforms from everyone it had taken. And its hands, holy hell, its hands were too clean, like surgical clean, and long, like its fingers went down to its knees. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. My voice wouldn't work, and then I realized what was in its hand. A camera, the same one from the video. It had taken that photo. It had been inside the bathroom with me, watching, waiting. I started losing track of time after that. There were no more knocks, no more fire, just cold. Every night, a new photo, each one closer. The angles didn't make sense. Sometimes I'd be asleep, and the photo would be from above me, like from the ceiling. One night, the image showed me brushing my teeth, but there was a face inside the mirror, not behind me, inside it, like the glass was water and it was looking out. Another night, the photo showed me standing outside the cabin, just staring at the door, but I never went outside. That's when I started wondering if I was even still in control, if something was puppeting me around while I blacked out. And the worst part, I stopped recognizing my own face in the photos. There was this look in my eyes, blank, like I was already dead inside. No fear, no panic, just hollow, like something was wearing me. One night, I woke up to find blood on my hands, not a little, dripping, all over my arms, my shirt, the floor, but no wounds, nothing hurt. I searched the whole cabin, top to bottom, but found nothing, until I checked the red chair on the porch. There was a tooth on it, a human tooth, still fresh, still warm, and scratched into the wood below it were 5 words. Now you're part of it. I don't remember screaming. I don't remember anything after that. Just waking up, cold, alone, with the sun barely rising, and a Polaroid photo pinned to my chest, with a sewing needle through my shirt. It was the cabin, empty, and in the window, I saw myself, looking out, smiling. I don't even remember opening the trapdoor. I wish I could tell you it was bravery, or desperation, or maybe some hope that I could just end it. But the truth is, I think I was already halfway gone by then. Something had gotten inside me, in my mind, like the walls of that place weren't just keeping things out, they were letting something in. That morning, after I found the Polaroid pinned to my chest, I stopped pretending I could escape. The trees outside had stopped moving. No wind, no sound. Even the birds had gone silent. I stood above the hatch in the floor. My hands moved on their own. The lock was gone. The chains, gone too, like they'd never been there. Just the outline of the wooden square and the black void underneath. No ladder, no stairs, just a drop, a pit, a mouth in the floor waiting to be fed. I lit one of the old lanterns I found in the closet and climbed down, using the sides of the opening like a ladder, digging my fingers into the splintered wood. And that smell, Jesus, that smell, rotten bleach, old blood, wet wood, and burnt hair. The kind of smell that gets inside your teeth, like you can taste it when you breathe. When my feet hit the dirt floor, the lantern flickered, but stayed on. The room was small, maybe 8 feet by 8, walls made of crumbling stone and dirt, and in the middle, half buried in the floor, was something that looked like an altar, a table, stone, cracked, covered in old stains, and all over the walls, scratched in with fingernails, or maybe a knife, were messages, dozens, hundreds, some fresh, some so old they were practically dust, all saying different versions of the same thing. He's still down here. She doesn't sleep anymore. Don't look at its mouth. It wears your face when you leave. Smile for the camera. You're not the first. You're not the first. You're not the first. I backed away, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my gums. I turned toward the tunnel I hadn't noticed before. Yes, a tunnel, carved by hand, with jagged bones stuck into the dirt walls like some kind of ancient teeth. That's when I saw it. The others, they weren't alive, but they weren't dead either. Dozens of bodies standing upright, heads tilted, eyes open, arms limp at their sides, like puppets on invisible strings. Some had uniforms, fast food, gas stations, delivery drivers. Others wore pajamas, hoodies, even a prom dress still soaked in something black and sticky. All of them had one thing in common: mouths sewn shut, rough black thread, clumsy, like whoever did it didn't care if it hurt. Their skin was dry, wrinkled like plastic. But the worst part was their eyes. Some of them looked right at me, like they could see me, but they didn't move, just stood there, breathing. And then I heard it. From deep down in the tunnel, a scraping, wet, dragging, bone on stone, followed by a laugh. Not loud, not crazy, just wrong. Like a child imitating what they think laughter sounds like, but getting it all backwards. It said my name, clear as day, right from the shadows. You're late. The lantern went out. Total blackness. I ran. I don't remember how I made it out. I remember hands grabbing at me in the dark. Too many hands. Like the walls were made of bodies. Arms sprouting from the stone, tugging at my clothes, my legs, my mouth. Something tried to open my jaw. I could feel fingers in my mouth, pulling. Cold nails scratching my gums, trying to open me. I bit down, hard. Something screamed, not loud, inside my head, like metal on metal, screaming through my teeth. I made it back to the trapdoor, crawled out like I was being born again. I slammed it shut and pushed the couch over it. That was 2 nights ago. Since then, the cabin has changed. It's not just a building anymore. It's watching me. I caught my own reflection in the window. Only, it wasn't me. It smiled when I didn't, moved when I stayed still. There are footsteps on the roof at night now, pacing, slow, deliberate. Sometimes I hear whispering from the fireplace, not like voices, more like something dragging its tongue over the inside of the chimney bricks. It says things like, "You'll look good in the red chair. She's already wearing your skin. Say cheese." The laptop doesn't work anymore, but the photos still show up. They print themselves now. From the old Polaroid camera I found hanging from a hook in the closet. Every morning, a new one sitting on the table. This morning, the photo was of my old bedroom. Back in the city, my apartment, taken from inside the closet. There was a shape in the corner, wearing the hoodie I thought I lost last year, grinning. I know you think this is all fake, some YouTuber level spooky pasta, but let me tell you what really broke me. Last night, I finally looked under the bed. I don't know why I did it. Some instinct. I just needed to know. There was a person under there, flat, pressed into the floor like they'd been ironed down, skin tight, eyes wide, screaming silently. It was me. My face, my clothes, my teeth, all crushed and distorted like I'd been fed through a wood chipper and glued back together. And taped to my double's forehead was another Polaroid. It was of the red chair on the porch, empty, waiting. I don't think I'm writing this anymore. I think something else is. It started the night after I found myself under the bed, flat as paper, with that damn photo stuck to my forehead like a name tag. I sat in the kitchen until the fire went out, holding the knife, waiting for the sound, any sound. But the cabin was silent, like it was holding its breath. I kept looking at the door, the red chair. I could see it through the cracked window, moonlight bouncing off the porch, but the chair wasn't empty anymore. There was something in it, not someone, something. It had my body, same hoodie, same face, same bite mark on the lip from when I fell on the rocks last summer, but the expression it wore was wrong, like it was forcing my face into a smile it didn't understand. Too many teeth, eyes too wide, like a mask slipping on the wrong skull. It didn't move, didn't blink, just sat there, smiling, like it was waiting for me to come out and take its picture. I closed the curtains and locked the door, but the lock didn't click, because there was no lock anymore. Gone, like someone had carved it out of the door with a spoon, just wood, splintered and peeled like skin. I pushed the fridge in front of the door and backed into the corner, knife still in hand, breath frozen in my throat. Then the photos started printing again. one after another, from the Polaroid that hadn't been plugged in for days, just spitting them out like some demonic receipt printer. The first photo was me, from behind, standing at the window. The second was the kitchen. Me again. But I wasn't alone in those pictures. In every single one, the thing in the red chair was closer. First, it was on the porch, then halfway up the steps, then inside, standing in the doorway, grinning. By the time the 15th photo printed, it was right behind me, and I didn't even feel it, just cold air, like the air itself was a body pressing against mine. I turned around with the knife and swung, wild, blind, screaming. I hit something. I felt it. The knife went into something soft, too soft, like flesh that had never been alive. It didn't scream. It gurgled, and then it laughed, but not through a mouth, from inside my head. That's when the walls started breathing. I know how that sounds. I know what you're thinking, but I saw them, expanding, contracting, like lungs, like the whole cabin was alive, and I was trapped inside a creature, pretending to be a house. The wood pulsed under my feet. The lights flickered red, then white, then this horrible pale green, like hospital walls stained with sickness. The air got thick, heavy, and then the windows started showing things that weren't outside. Not trees, not sky, just scenes, like memories. I saw my dad's funeral. I was 12. I saw myself sitting alone in the back row, chewing my nails until they bled. But everyone in the casket was me. A row of identical corpses, some grinning, some stitched shut. Then I saw my old apartment, my bed, my laptop still open on my Reddit account, but there was someone sitting at my desk, using it, wearing my hoodie, smiling, typing, writing this story. The next photo printed itself and floated to the ground like it weighed nothing. I picked it up with shaking hands. It was my tongue. Just my tongue. Cut clean, placed on the red chair. The background of the image was out of focus, but you could make out shapes behind it. Photos hung on a wall. Hundreds, maybe thousands. All of them of me. Different poses, different expressions. Some of them I had never made before in my life. Some of them weren't even possible. One was my head twisted 180 degrees, eyes on the wrong side of my face. Another had my mouth open, but instead of a tongue, there was a hand reaching out. I dropped the photo. Then came the worst sound I've ever heard. Knocking, but not from the floor, or the walls, from inside my head. 3 knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Then a voice, whispered directly into my brain, like it was dripping through the cracks in my skull. Time to come in. We've been waiting. You're late. They're hungry. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up the next morning in the woods. Not inside the cabin, just in the middle of the forest, cold, alone, covered in dirt. My shoes were gone, my hands were bloody, my clothes torn, and in my mouth, a Polaroid, folded, wet. I pulled it out and opened it with shaking fingers. It was a picture of my face, staring at the camera, except someone had carved a smile into my cheeks with something sharp. My mouth hung open too wide. My teeth were broken, and behind me in the photo was the red chair. But this time, I was in it, bleeding, grinning. I tried to leave. I don't know how long I ran. My feet bled, my vision blurred, but no matter which way I went, I ended up back at the cabin. The forest is a loop. Or maybe the cabin moves, like it follows you, sinks into your memories, and waits until you come back to it. And I think it wants you to come back, because now, every time I close my eyes, I see it, not in dreams, in ads, on Instagram, TikTok, even Spotify ads between songs. I saw an Airbnb listing last week. Rustic mountain, getaway, full privacy, $500 a week. And the photo was the red chair, blurry, empty, waiting. Someone is still using my face. Someone is still uploading this story, like a parasite puppeteering my life, like it's using this post as bait for the next person. And if you've read this far, it means it's already working, because you saw the listing too, didn't you? Maybe you didn't click it. Maybe you just scrolled past. But that's all it takes. A glance, a second. That's how it finds you. That's how it gets in. The chair is never really empty. It's just waiting for you to sit down. I don't know what day it is. Time's not real anymore. I only know night from day, because the darkness talks louder when the sun goes down. I got out of the forest, or at least I thought I did. I walked for days, weeks maybe. The trees stretched on forever, repeating themselves like some corrupted video game level. I stopped eating. I drank from puddles that tasted like pennies and ash. I stopped dreaming. The cabin didn't just let me go. It spat me out. But I didn't come back the same. I was different. Everything was different. When I finally made it back to civilization, stumbling into a gas station with blood crusted under my nails and half a sock for a shoe, I should have felt relief. But the moment I stepped under the flickering fluorescent lights and saw my reflection in the glass door, I knew. It wasn't over, because the thing looking back at me wasn't me. It looked like me. Same hair, same dead eyes, same little scar under my jaw I got from a childhood fall. But there was something behind the eyes. Someone else was still inside. I stayed at a cheap motel that night, and the mirror wouldn't show my reflection unless I smiled. I mean that literally. My face didn't appear unless I was grinning, like something was watching, waiting, demanding performance. That night, I got an email from myself. No subject, no text, just an attachment. I shouldn't have opened it. It was a video, silent, grainy, my apartment, shot from inside, from the corner of the living room. The lights were off, the blinds half drawn, and in the center of the frame, the red chair, right there, sitting like it had always been part of the furniture. And me? I walked into the frame 5 seconds later, casual, calm, cup of coffee in hand, like nothing had happened, like I hadn't almost died in a haunted forest wormhole full of stitched shut corpses and knockoff doppelgangers. I sat in the chair, smiled, and then turned my head directly to the camera. I raised one hand and pointed at the screen, pointed at me, watching. I moved out that same night, didn't even pack, just grabbed my car keys, wallet, and ran. But it was already too late, because when I looked in the rearview mirror while driving, I wasn't in the car alone. The back seat had a passenger, me, mouth sewn shut, hands folded politely, head tilted, staring forward, not blinking, and in my hands, a photo. The photo was of my old bedroom, only this time the red chair was in the bed, tucked under the blanket like it was sleeping there. I drove for hours. Every sign led to a road that didn't exist. Gas stations were empty, restaurants boarded up. Even my GPS said I was driving in the ocean. My phone only displayed one word across every app: smile. I finally stopped at a Starbucks in some nameless town. One of those weird ones you never hear about, but somehow always show up when you're lost. The barista was wearing a stitched name tag, literally stitched, thread sewn through skin. And when she looked up, her face. It was mine, but the eyes were glass, the smile painted. She handed me a drink with no name on it, just a photo taped to the cup, of the cabin, on fire, and in the flames, I could see something crawling out of the trapdoor, something tall, twisted, wearing my face like a wet coat, but wrong, melting, as if it had been burned, rebuilt, and burned again. And as I backed away, she whispered, "You didn't leave. You were sent ahead. You're the signal flare, the story, the trailer before the film. You think you're the survivor. You're the hook. I don't sleep anymore." When I close my eyes, I hear the photos printing, one by one, endless. They're somewhere, maybe in my new place, maybe in your room. I hear the click of the Polaroid, and every time it goes off, it feels like a chunk of me disappears. Memory, thought, identity. I don't know if I'm writing this or if the cabin is. All I know is this. There's a red chair in my new apartment now. I didn't bring it in, but it's here, facing the front door, waiting. And every night, the door unlocks by itself. No footsteps, no noise, just the lock click and the sound of something sitting down, deep, wood creaking like bones realigning. And then the whisper starts, in my closet, under the bed, inside my mouth. You'll never leave. They'll never believe. And soon, you'll forget which one you are. Because you're the story now. If you're still reading this, if you made it this far, you need to understand something. There's no ending. This isn't a story. It's a copy. It spreads like a virus. Each word makes it stronger. Each view is a feeding. You just gave it permission to look at you. You invited it in by imagining it. Check your door. Check your chair. Because tonight, it might not be in the woods anymore. Tonight, it might be sitting in your room, smiling, waiting for the photo to finish printing. The story ends here, but the red chair doesn't. It never ends.